Johnny Manziel took out a powerhouse team in college, won the Heisman Trophy as a freshman.
Johnny Manziel.
Fueled a $420 million stadium renovation, and then got suspended for taking a bribe. He spent money in the face of NCAA investigators, hung with the wrong crowd, partied in Vegas before training camp, got fined 12 racks for flipping off fans, checked into rehab during an offseason, and played in the CFL where he ultimately got banned. And before he took a snap in the NFL, Skip Bayless said this about him.
Johnny Manziel will become even bigger in the city of Cleveland than his buddy and business partner LeBron James ever was in the city of Cleveland.
This is the story of the most overhyped QB in NFL history, and it's coming up right after this. Hey, this video is about not giving a bleep, and guess who knows the rules but always ends up screwing our team? That's right, the refs. And now you can have the ultimate coffee that gives the refs the middle finger they deserve. This is not a joke. The refs coffee is actually made from delicious, ethically sourced Arabica beans, and the name says it all. You can order the refs coffee blend from the link below or the pinned comment. Makes a perfect gift. Now, back to the video. Born on December 6, 1992 in Tyler, Texas, Jonathan Paul Manziel seemed destined for greatness from the get-go. He was born into a well-to-do family with Texas oil money, never really wanting for much in his youth other than to play football. Nicknamed Johnny Football, Manziel became a household name during his tenure at Texas A&M University. Manziel burst into the national headlines in 2012 when the true freshman took down powerhouse Alabama in an epic 29-24 upset. Number 1 Alabama was 9-0 at the time, and the 15th ranked Aggies were 7-2. 14-point dogs. It didn't matter. Johnny Football's amazing improvised plays and talents were on full display in what is probably the biggest win in Texas A&M's history. Later that year, Manziel's ascent to stardom reached its peak when he became the first freshman in history to win the Heisman Trophy. His electrifying play style, complete with agility, uncanny improvisation, and a knack for making the impossible seem routine, captivated viewers. Following his historic Heisman Trophy win as a college freshman, Manziel's life took a dramatic and unexpected turn. Thanks to his newfound celebrity and the team around him, Texas A&M University experienced a surge in donations, and plans were set in motion for a massive $420 million renovation of the Aggie Stadium. However, despite the financial windfall Manziel's name and image brought to the university, estimated at $37 million in media exposure at the time, the NCAA's regulations prohibited college athletes from profiting from their own likeness. Sounds absurd today, doesn't it? In response, Manziel and his close friend Nathan Fitch devised a scheme. During a trip to Miami for the 2013 BCS National Championship game, Manziel openly has claimed to have earned $33,000 by autographing memorabilia for different individuals. This initial success spurred further endeavors, with Manziel and Fitch, which is a great name for a clothing company, returning regularly to capitalize on their newfound venture. Their activities escalated, leading to extravagant trips, courtside appearances at professional basketball games, mingling with celebs, and primo seats at the Super Bowl. Well, until he got caught. Remember that signing incident? The NCAA found out and, get this, suspended him for an entire first half of the season opener, as to not jeopardize him playing in the rematch against Alabama in week 2, in an obvious move by all parties involved not to jeopardize a literal cash cow of a sequel. Yes, it was a literal cow stuffed with dollar bills. The game was really good too, with A&M losing in a shootout. Despite his off-field troubles while still in College Station, which included an arrest for fighting, him being seen dropping Xannies at parties like a scene from Project X, or him leaving the Manning Passing Academy early because he was hungover, Manziel was actively being scouted as a first-round quarterback in the upcoming draft. So after 2 years as an Aggie, Johnny Football set off for the big show. The 2014 NFL Draft was pretty average in terms of quarterback prospects. Blake Bortles, Teddy Bridgewater, Derek Carr. However, the most talked about figure leading up to the draft was Cash Money Manziel. Speculation swirled on where the shit-eating, grin-having Manziel would land. Despite concerns about his relatively undersized stature for a quarterback and his off-field antics, teams were intrigued by his undeniable talent and playmaking ability. Of course, the Browns would be the ones to take him, as he smugly displayed the cash gesture in a brash and defiant symbol of both his ignorance and confidence headed into the league. Meanwhile, the Dallas Cowboys, always a team trying to make a splash, were also linked to Manziel during the draft process. Rumors swirled that the Cowboys were considering selecting him with the 16th overall pick, a move that would have caused the NFL media to collectively lose their bowel control. And Skip Bayless surely would have jizzed himself to death on live television. Ultimately, the Cowboys opted to address a different position, choosing Notre Dame guard Zach Martin instead, which was totally the right move, but Jerry Jones had to come clean about how he was actually talked out of taking the local Texas boy to lead his team to disaster.
On our board, one of our top 5 or 6 picks dropped down to us. It was at the quarterback position, and I absolutely was a vote of 1 in that room to basically go there.
On paper, it was a run-of-the-mill pick, 22nd overall, and a less than competent team trying to handpick their quarterback of the future. Where have we heard this story? But this was Johnny Football, and it didn't matter where he was picked or where he went. He brought eyes, and he brought hype. Skip Bayless infamously dropped the most freezing cold take of all time when he said this.
One day, I am predicting, Johnny Manziel will become even bigger in the city of Cleveland than his buddy and business partner LeBron James ever was in the city of Cleveland. Pretty soon, that dog pound in Cleveland is going to be hooting and hollering for Johnny Manziel, who has that dog in him.
Now, there's a cold take, and then there's that, the most Arctic hypothermia-inducing sports opinion to ever be spoken aloud. Mind you, Nick Wright exists. It would be clear that before he even took a snap in the league, that this guy was trouble. Manziel was spotted partying on draft night and partying before even arriving in camp. He posted a picture of him flying back from a weekend of debauchery with his playbook in an attempt to show he was preparing for camp. And I guarantee he fucking wasn't. In the 2014 preseason, he was fined $12,000 for flipping the bird to the stands in a loss. He was beaten out for the starting job by Brian Hoyer. In his first start in the NFL, Manziel threw 2 picks, had 80 passing yards, and compiled a passer rating of 27 in a 30-0 loss to the Bengals. 2 weeks later, after saying publicly he would take things more seriously, he missed a team walkthrough because he was partying the night before. He was average at best his rookie year. He started 2 games, lost them both, and was so skittish in the pocket, it was like he was overwhelmed by the speed of the game. As soon as his first read was gone, he would take off running, and his struggles on the field would carry over off of it. A month after his rookie year, Manziel checked into rehab. During October of 2015, he was drinking again, and he couldn't avoid more trouble. Manziel was stopped by police following a domestic argument reported by WEWS News Channel 5 in Cleveland. The incident occurred after Manziel's vehicle was observed speeding on the shoulder of the road. Witnesses reported an argument between Manziel and his girlfriend, Colleen Crowley, prompting a police intervention. According to reports, Crowley attempted to exit the vehicle while it was in motion, leading to further confrontation. Manziel admitted to drinking earlier in the day, but police found no grounds for charges related to intoxication. Somehow, Manziel earned the starting job in 2015, then had it taken away when his head coach Mike Pettin saw a video of him partying in Vegas. The night before the final game of the season, Manziel was spotted back in Vegas, then scratched from the lineup the next day with a concussion. Yeah, that's usually how we feel after a long night at Planet Hollywood. What was truly frustrating about Manziel was you could see brief glimmers of competence, fleeting but visible. People forget that he won 2 games in the NFL in his second year. He had a positive touchdown to interception ratio, and there was something there. Not a lot, but he could have had a respectable career had he actually given a shit about football. By 2016, even the Browns were done with him, and so they cut the kid. His stops included the Great White North of Canada, where Manziel and the Hamilton Tiger Cats reached an agreement in May of 2018, marking his return to professional football. However, after spending several weeks on the bench as a backup, Manziel was traded to the Montreal Alouettes. An alouette is a bird, by the way. In his first start, Manziel threw 4 picks. Before halftime, almost a full Peterman. Despite initially struggling, he eventually assumed the starting role, showcasing a little bit of progress throughout the year. And then he was cut and banned from the CFL. The reason stated for the banning was that Mr. Manziel violated a condition of his agreement with the league, and the actual reason was never disclosed. I'm sure we can all speculate as to what it was, probably either partying, drugs, or alcohol. After washing out of the CFL, Manziel joined the Alliance of American Football, playing briefly for the Memphis Express before the league suspended operations. Talk about bad luck. Despite announcing his retirement from football in 2020, Manziel returned to the gridiron in 2021, joining fan-controlled football. His stint with the Zappers, co-owned by his friend Bob Maneri, included sporadic playing time and mixed performances. The story of his career, if nothing else. Johnny Manziel's enormous hype and colossal stardom was ultimately his downfall. He was actually never built for stardom, never built for massive expectations. His demons clawed him back to reality, and despite his raw talents, he never put in the work. Nowadays, he's very outspoken about what happened during his life and tells wildly entertaining stories with open candor. So in essence, he is still hyping his life up a little bit, while giving us a glimpse into the dark side of fame. Kind of improvising with talent, if you will.